Hey, welcome to All In with Soren Patterson. I am Soren Patterson, and it's Monday. It's time to start another week. It's time to dig in again and see what we can see. So, this week, I've been really thinking about self perception, self awareness, and self regulation. Kind of dovetails into what we were talking about last week. And really, the big driver behind it for me right now is my own self talk over the past probably week has changed considerably, maybe even longer now. I really think about it, where I'm really not being all that nice to myself. And because of that, my own mood is heading downwards, and I think it might be interrupting my sleep. And because of that, my negative self-talk changes my self-perception. Most of us like to, especially if we've worn the uniform, to some degree or another, we all feel like, yep, we're going to get it done and nothing's going to stop me. It doesn't really matter what it needs to be. Safety third, let's go. And that takes a toll. So, what happens when you are task saturated and something else comes in and then you can't get it done? When you're in uniform, you get chewed out, you work extra hours because you're getting paid 24/7 anyways, so you don't have an off time. In the civilian world, as a retiree, as a veteran out here, it's a little bit different because the things that I'm juggling now aren't things that I was juggling when I was wearing the uniform. Not the smallest, ugh, not least of which, that's the word I'm going for, is the family. And then you have the family and you have the household and you have the things that entails, trying to drive forward with my own personal goals. And when you start looking at everything that you have to get done, you have to try to prioritize. I know that I've been trying to, and for a while there, I really felt like I had a good balance. And then I fell behind in something. And then I fell behind in something else. So now I had two things that were important to me or important to my family that I was, in my mind, failing at. So my self perception of everything that I was doing started being colored by the feeling of failure. I'm not really a big fan. I don't like feeling like a failure. I don't want to think that I'm failing my family. So it starts to tear me up, which means I get more frantic about doing the things that I want to get done. And then I run into roadblocks where if I had just picked it back up earlier, I might not have been so stressed about it, starting to get anxious about it, which then affects my self perception even more. So now I feel like I'm a failure every day. That, okay, I can't maintain the communication. I'm talking about communication, but I'm not following through all across the board. I'm talking about trying to find balance, but suddenly I'm off balance, which means I'm not living what I talk about, which really bothers me. Hypocrisy is one of my biggest things to really set me off. So if I start feeling like a hypocrite and not doing the things I'm asking of others, where do I go? I'm not a drinker, so I'm not turning to the bottle. I've been trying to cut back on my reading, but the past 2 weeks, I know it hasn't been that way. I know that both my reading and my gaming went up, where before I really did have a balance. And by increasing those two things that I'm looking for, like a sense of accomplishment almost, to give myself like a small win, a small hit of dopamine to get me through rolling, all it does is delay things. And when I start feeling more and more delayed and not getting things done, and whether it's the laundry, whether it's folding the clothes, no problem getting washed, but sometimes the folding just becomes literal mountains, and it's not where I want to be. I had delayed acting on stuff for school. I was doing really well. And then I ran into multiple roadblocks on their side. And instead of switching gears and moving forward somewhere else, I let it lie fallow, which just all it did is put another iron in the fire. And now it's burning me up. So I don't look at that stuff anymore, and I start closing my eyes to it, but I'm still aware of it. So not acting on school, not getting stuff done around the house, feeling like I'm not quite doing things right for the kiddo, feeling I'm not feeling quite right with my lady. It tears me up so much that I'm so tired that even as I'm pushing myself physically and mentally to get things done, I am not allowing myself to rest and recover, because even when I'm taking that time, I'm still churning. And that's what helps really negate. I start looking at myself in the mirror and I don't like what I see. So I start thinking maybe I should change my hair. Maybe I should, or I'm pissed because I'm not making the advancements I want to in physically. So today, I don't feel like it was a waste, but on one point it was a waste. But I went back through and I started looking through photos over the years since I retired. When I look at myself when I retired in 2018, I didn't know when I was wearing the uniform how bad I really, really was. How much stress that I was carrying in my body. Because I wouldn't let myself see it. My self-perception at that time was not an honest one. Because I wanted to accomplish the mission, because I wanted to take care of my soldiers, I wanted to take care of the team. And I really wasn't taking care of myself. And it affected everything across the board. And I continued that lie to myself for years after I retired. Even as I tried to make changes, I still wasn't giving myself an honest assessment. My self-perception was based on closing my eyes to a lot of things. And that's not healthy for us. Because when we're accomplishing our mission, when we're looking through, we look at the risks. We do our risk management. We do our risk mitigation. And we talk about what we know that we know, what we know that we don't know, and what we don't know that we don't know. And I had turned that into, well, everything's fine. I started planning in a vacuum. And I didn't take into account the changes of the culture. I didn't take into account the changes of building styles, any of it. And all it did is I kept failing at things again and again and again. And it just shattered me. And I've been trying to pick the pieces up since then. And every time I feel like I've got a better picture of who I am, I get overwhelmed because I want to do so much for my family. I want to take care of it all. I want to lift my lady up as high as she can fly because I know she's amazing. That's why she's in my life. I want to raise an amazing young woman, and she's such a handful already. I have so many things that I want for her. And I want to succeed for myself. And each year I try to be more and more honest with where I'm at. But I'm still seeing the wrong photo. I'm still seeing the wrong picture. Because, as my wife likes to remind me, I am not Superman. And I can't do it all. She doesn't say it meanly. It's just trying to help me. So I have to look at these things and realize it's okay for things to fall to the side. It's okay for things to not get done. That's why I had to look through the photos. I had to remind myself of where I was and that I'm not still there. That as bad as I feel right now, for the mistakes that I keep making. They aren't the same mistakes as they were in 2018. They're not the same mistakes. Sure as hell aren't the same mistakes they made back in 2012 when I was coming back from Afghanistan. I'm trying consistently to figure out who Will Patterson is, not Sergeant Patterson, and I know who he is. Because if I can figure out who Will Patterson is, then maybe I can turn him into Dr. Patterson one day. And I have to fight these feelings of failure with evidence. I had to look at the pictures of myself, like I said, from 2018 and realize that I weighed 50, maybe 55, 60 pounds heavier than I am now. And I didn't really let myself know that. I still had convinced myself I could do everything. That I'm actually in a better place in my relationships because I am talking more. That the arguments aren't vicious anymore. That I am taking deep breaths every time I get frustrated with the kiddo or with myself or with my lady. But it doesn't always jive. So we have to work on that self-talk and remind ourselves, which voice is that is castigating ourselves? Am I really tearing myself up this much? Why am I hating myself so much? Why do I feel like I'm a failure because I can't get the doggone laundry done? That there's days I'm just too tired to clean the kitchen. That as try as I might, I can't always act in the moment. I want to. And I only see those failures when I look in the mirror. And that's not the whole truth of who I am. I need to balance it and realize that I am not 260 pounds. That I am actually working out 4 or 5 times a day sometimes, and I did not have that stamina when I retired. That I know a part of this is because I've had a headache just about every single day for 2 weeks, and it scares me because I don't want to go down the road of pain again, because I see how it clouds everything. So I have to balance that out and realize that I'm still getting up in the morning. I'm still doing my workout. I'm still helping my lady. I'm still taking care of the kiddo. And if I falter, it's okay. So I know I've kind of talked a long time today, and who knows if you're still listening. But I would like to put out there that think about and listen to what we are saying to ourselves and where that focus is at. And let's find a better balance, because I'm not a failure. I have many things that I'm succeeding at today that I couldn't do 2 years ago. Never mind 8. I'm doing things today as a veteran, as a retiree, that I could not do as a sergeant first class in 2010. Because I've grown. And that the struggles I have today, I could have only dreamed of having 8 years ago. So when you're lost without the mission, when you feel like you're failing at every mission, the fact that you still got up today, put on the boots, and walked out the door is still a success. Hell, just making your bed is a good success. So look at yourself for real. Look in the mirror like I do and go, Yeah, all this is weighing on my soul and my heart. But I'm also doing all these things too. And believe it or not, all this matters so much more than this. And if you want to talk it out, if you want to share that sense, please drop me a note. I can listen, I can advise, I can share. Because no matter what, I've got your six.